What's up, everybody? Z3KO Trinity. Welcome back to another Stephen King previews video. Today, I'm talking like Martha Stewart. In this video, we're going to be discussing Insomnia. And as you can tell from the darkness in my eyes, it looks like I have Disturbia. Yeah, that would be even worse than Insomnia. But, you know the drill. You walk into a grocery store or a pet store or, your neighbor's house while they're not home. And you see this on the shelf. Would you pick it up? I don't know what they were thinking with this design. It's just red and white. All it's missing is blue, and it would be all American. But you got Insomnia at the top in a little font. Then you got Vergetigen written right here as in even bigger font than that. Then all of a sudden this huge ass just on the bottom. And what's funny is on the side of the book it has the exact same length of the king. A little midget Vergetigen, and then at the very top is Insomnia. But what is cool about this book is the back. Stephen King has a shirt that says, "We never sleep," which is a cool shirt to wear for this kind of book. But I think that the book should have some kind of design on them. Like some kind of picture or something instead of just a plain white and red. So if I saw this on the shelf, I would not be like, bleh, and I'd probably walk away. What about you guys? What do you think? But all in all, if you do walk up to it and be like, I wonder what this is about, and you open it up, and let's read what the side of the thing says. Ralph Roberts, Wreck-It Ralph, has a problem. He isn't sleeping so well these days. In fact, he's hardly sleeping at all. Each morning, the news conveyed by the bedside clock is a little worse. 3:15, 3:02, 2:45, 2:15. The books call it premature walking. Ralph, who is still learning to be a widower, calls it a season in hell. He's begun to notice a strangeness in his familiar surroundings, to experience visual phenomena that that he can't quite believe are hallucinations. Soon, Wreck-It Ralph thinks he won't be sleeping at all. And then what? A problem, yes, though perhaps not so uncommon, you might say. But Ralph has lived his entire life in Derry, Maine, and knows there's a mean streak running through this small New England city underneath its ordinary surface. Could this be a connection? Awesome and terrifying forces are at work. The dying, natural and otherwise, has been going on in Derry for a long, long time. Now Ralph is part of it. So are his friends, and so are the strangers they encounter. You, gentle reader, may never sleep again. Welcome to Insomnia. Now, reading that, it immediately spiked me to the highest pivotal moment, because I, for one, being a Stephen King fan of the It book and the movies of It and all that, reading that little page plot there has immediately got me interested to see what kind of connections does Pennywise have with this guy. But if you don't know anything about the Stephen King's It, I, for one, don't think that it would grab a hold of me, per se. But I would want to give it a chance. But with the thickness of the book, it already throws me off. Like, I don't know about you guys. Some of you readers out there, like, you know, Hermione with a book like this and be like, oh, it's just a light reading. But no, this kind of stuff throws me off. And just reading that side view, I don't think I would really draw me in. But we're going to give this book one more chance. We're going to read the first sentence, aka or paragraph, of the book, and we're going to see just where that takes us. Alright, I'm just going to make sure that this is the right chapter 1, or if it's like a prelude or some shit. Alright. Here we go. No one, least of all Dr. Litchfield, came right out and told Ralph Roberts that his wife was going to die. But there came a time when Ralph understood without needing to be told. The months between March and June were a jangling, screaming time inside his head. A time of conferences with doctors, of evening runs to the hospital with Carolyn, of trips to other hospitals in other states for special tests. Ralph spent much of his travel time. I was going to say time travel. He spent much of his time travel. Maybe if they did say time travel, it probably would interest me more. Spent most of his travel time on these trips thanking God for Carolyn's Blue Cross / major medical coverage. Of personal research in the Derry Public Library, where Mike Hanlon works. It doesn't say that there, but I'm just throwing that in there. At first looking for answers the specialist might have overlooked. Later, or just looking for hope and grasping at straws. Ooh. Those 4 months were like being dragged drunk through some melon carnival where the people on the rides were really screaming. And yeah, that's like almost the full first page. I just kept reading because I was waiting on something to kind of grab me. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I personally love books, especially horror stories, that begin with something that'll automatically just pinch your nerve right off the bat. Like, I look for, like, poetic stuff in there and stuff that, like, be like, oh, this is going to be a good one right here. You know what I mean? I don't want to read that. When I read that, I was like, okay, let me skip, like, 5 chapters. Maybe something's going to happen. You know what I mean? But, yeah, this one really didn't do it for me. We're going to give it one last chance. Well, I'm going to give it one last chance. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. But we're going to read the last line of the book. So, here we go. And she saw the long white scar on his right forearm was gone. So is that supposed to mean like an alternate person's going to take Ralph's place or something? That's what I got from that, like, you know, that Goosebumps book where Lefty McLefterston went into the mirror, came back out, and everyone, you know, was being switched. Well, they fixed it all, and at the end, he was throwing ball with his brother, and he noticed that he was using his right arm, even though this is my left arm. So, yeah, I'm wondering if that ending is, like, about that. Was it enough to really pull me in and say, okay, I'm going to read this 787-page book? No, it does not. So, Insomnia, I am sorry to say your preview gets an all-time thumbs down for me. Moving on. Here is a little colorful book called Rose Madder. Now, if I saw... Now, see, this. Look at... It doesn't show anything. I mean, it has like a paper bags of some sort. Some kind of like rope here. Looks like there's a window frame. Like all kinds of stuff's going on with this picture. But compared to just a plain white picture, I mean, come on. But this, if I saw this in the store, I would have been like, I wonder what this is. And also, if you don't know, keep in mind, guys, We don't know who Stephen King is at this point. You know, if immediately when I see Stephen King on a book, I'm like, oh, I gotta buy it, regardless whether it's good or not. It'd be like ABCs by Stephen King. I'd be like, oh, gotta get this one. But the back of the book has his face right there and his name yet again right above it. So that's kind of helpful. You turn it around and you see who Stephen King is. Like, oh, that's Stephen King. Oh, okay. But let's see if the story... Wow. Did you hear that crack? Let's see if the story is enough to grab our attention. Okay, here we go. Roused by a single drop of blood on the bedsheet, Rosie Daniels wakes from 14 years of a nightmare marriage and suddenly takes flight. She uses her husband's ATM card to buy a bus ticket, determined to lose herself in a place where Norman won't find her. Norman! She'll worry about all the rest later. Alone in a strange city, she begins to make a new life, and good things start to happen. Meeting Bill Steiner, Rick Steiner's aka brother, is one, and finding a junk shop painting is another. It may be bad art, but it's perfect for her new apartment, and somehow it seems to want her as much as she wants it. Still, it's hard for Rosie not to keep looking over her shoulder, and with good reason. Her husband is a cop. With the instincts of a predator, he's very good at finding people. The fact that he's losing his mind might even be an advantage. Rose, maddened and on the rampage, Norman Daniels becomes a force of relentless terror and savageness. A man almost mythic is in his monstrosity. For Rosie to survive, for her to have a chance in her brave new world, she must enter her own myth, a world that lies beyond the surface of a work of art, and become a woman she has never knew she could become. Rose Madder. Wow. Wow. Now see, right there is poetry. Right there is what we needed. It's straight to the point. It's interesting because it talks about this monster that's after her. It's, immediately interesting because he's a cop nonetheless. Because cops, you can always turn to the cops. They're, here to help. But for her case, she can't do that. So, and by the sounds of it, it's just an uplifting story. So, does this pull me in? Hell yeah, it pulls me in. I don't know about you guys, but let me know in the comment section below. Below job. And let's see what the first sentence says. Right now, we're off to a good start with this book. Alright. She sits in the corner, trying to draw air out of the room which seemed to have plenty just a few minutes ago, and now seems to have none.
From what sounds like a great distance, she can hear a thin whoop whoop, whoop 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 sound, and she knows this is air going down her throat and then sliding back out again in a series of feverish little gasps. Oh boy.
Sorry. But that doesn't change the feeling that she's drowning here in a corner of her living room, looking at the shredded remains of the paperback novel she was reading when her husband came home. Not that she cares much. The pain is too great for her to worry about such minor matters as respiration, or how there seems to be no air in the air she is breathing. The pain has swallowed her as the whale repugnantly swallowed Jonah, that holy draft dodger. It throbs like a poisoned sun glowing deep down in the middle of her, in a place where until tonight there was only the quiet sense of a new thing growing. Now, I really like how poetic that was, throwing in the metaphor of, the whale and the guy and the fish and the chicken nuggets. But all in all, it did kind of catch my attention, and I think that it would be a really good story. So yeah, the beginning sentence slash paragraph really does it in for me. But if that wasn't enough, if that didn't tickle my pickle, let's see what will. If the final words of the book will. Okay, it looked like it had some writing in this. But here we go. Oh shit. Her black eyes, as she stands there, communicate no clear thought to Rosie, but it is impossible to mistake the essential sanity of the old and clever brain behind them. Where did Winkers come from? Was that enough to really drag me in? Very interesting. Started off very subtle, very cryptic in a way, with the beginning of the book talking about her husband right off the bat, and then it comes upon you with the whole black eye business. So, Rose Madder, was you enough to grab my attention to really sell your book, Mr. King, right off the bat? Did this sell the book to you, Mr. Winkers? For me, it did it perfectly. And my cat's ass is right in the camera, and yeah, okay. But yes, I will give Rose Madder the 10 of 10 of trying to catch my attention. What do you guys think in the comment section below of the previews for Rose Madder? Next up, we have the very last one. Stephen King's The Green Mile, The Coupe de la Coupe. This was one of the first movies I've ever seen of Stephen King's. I do not own the separate books. I thought it would be easier to buy the whole complete series novel into one. Plus, I really like the art, but we're going to get into the art. Let's say I go to the bookstore, I had no idea about the movie or nothing, and I see this. Now, first off, I really love this guard tower up top, which has looks like it has a sniper or something in the top. Everything's in like this beige yellow kind of color. Has these dead trees all around. You can kind of see the police, like the prison all around. And then has like this yellow lightning coming down from the very top. Then, of course, the name of the book is The Green Mile, written in green, and it has this really nice lime green vehicle exiting the police area. Also, it has a little rat right here, noticeably right next to the green. But, yeah, in art style, it does drag me in. It's a really nice-looking paperback book. But since it's paperback, I don't have no side scroll, so let's see what the back of the book says. When it first appeared, 1 volume per month. Oh wait, that's the okay. Welcome to Cold Mountain Penitentiary, home to the depression-worn men of E Block. Convicted killers all, each awaits his turn to walk the Green Mile, keeping a date with Old Sparky, Cold Mountain's electric chair. Prison guard Paul Edgecombe has seen his share of oddities in his years working the mile, but he's never seen anyone like John Coffey, a man with the body of a giant and a mind of a child, condemned for a crime terrifying in its violence and shocking in its depravity. In this place of ultimate retribution, Edgecombe is about to discover the terrible, wondrous truth about coffee. A truth that will change his most cherished beliefs and yours. I, for one, love coffee. I mean, I drink it every morning. But anyway, was that enough to really grab you guys and pull you in? I'm looking at the cards. Yeah, y'all like the top of my head? Whew. like screwing up this video, but oh well. YOLO. Was that enough to really drag you guys in to the prison, that is? But if that wasn't enough to really grab you, for me, it kind of was talking about the part with coffee. But other than that, really, it's nothing that really stood out to me. But let's see what our first sentence says. Has a nice little picture of a electric chair, so that's bonus points there. This happened in 1932, when the state penitentiary was still at Cold Mountain, and the electric chair was there too, of course. The inmates made jokes about the chair, the way people always make jokes about things that frighten them, but can't be gotten away from. They called it Old Sparky, or the Big Juicy. They made cracks about the power bill, and how Warden Moores would cook his Thanksgiving dinner that fall with his wife Melinda too sick to cook. But for the ones who actually had to sit down in that chair, the humor went out of the situation in a hurry. I presided over 78 executions during my time at Cold Mountain. That's one figure I've never been confused about. I'll remember it on my deathbed. And I think that, for the most of the men, the truth of what was happening to them finally hit all the way home when their ankles were being clamped to the stout oak of Old Sparky's legs. The realization came then. You would see it rising in their eyes, a kind of cold dismay that their own legs had finished their careers. The blood still ran in them, the muscles were still strong, but they were finished all the same. They were never going to walk another country mile or dance with a girl at the barn raising. And we'll go ahead and stop right there. I, for one, love how they describe the chair most of all, because that whenever you think of a prison, the electric chair is kind of one of those things that really stands out. And yes, it is a frightening thing to be going to your death. Some inmates, it doesn't bother them a bit. They have no remorse. A lot of people redeem at the last possible minute. And, but yeah, I like how they were describing this chair and how this guy had seen so many executions in his time. It made it kind of seem like this one is supposed to be his last one, or something like that. So there's kind of hidden secrets within that sentence. But was it enough to really grab my attention and make me want to buy the book? I think... oh, shit. I think so. I personally think that this book will be very good, depending on all that I've seen. We're going to read the last sentence, just because I did with the rest. I know that, but sometimes, oh God, the Green Mile is so long. And I like that. I really do. I love it in the movie. I love it in the book. Because it's true. When you're walking down that mile to your death, it seems like it takes forever. I should know. No, I'm just kidding. But, yeah, I just personally think that this really pulls me in. And it's worth reading. If you have not read if you had not read The Green Mile, please read it. But which one of them are today's winner? We have The Rose Matter, we had The Green Mile, and we had Insomnia. Whee! No, I'm just kidding. Spinning the chair around. I, for one, am going to just throw Insomnia aside. It's already lost all hope of trying to catch my attention. The only thing, personally, for me that it really caught my attention is the fact that, you know, it is set in the same time that Stephen King's It is in. And I personally want to read it just to see the connections. I'm very sorry. But, if you don't know anything, and that's the point of Stephen King previews, is if you don't know who Stephen King is, would these things of the books make you want to buy it? And I just don't think Insomnia did it. Next up, I think The Green Mile was in second place. Yes, it is a very nice front cover. It gives it a lot of points. The back of the book's little description really didn't pull me in, except for when it started talking about the coffee guy. And the first whole sentence with it talking about the chair is very poetic, but I don't see hardly anything with that. And that's just my own personal opinion. But please let me know which one's won in your comment below and the reason why. But I think Rose Madder really stood out for me. Well, gee, hold your horses. It's very colorful. It really pops out there. I love the little side intro story. It sounds very uplifting. I like how it starts off with her just kind of being in this catatonic, like, very awkward, scared state, and then it kind of ends with her being beaten, like, black eye. You could tell she's been through shit, but it sounds like she's coming out on top, and I really enjoy something like that. So I think personally Rose Madder wins, but please let me know in the comment section below what you think. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Stephen King Previews. The next previews video is probably going to be on his newest book, so make sure you check that out. It's called The Outsider. Comes out in May. It's still a far away. It might not be the next previews video, but that's what it's going to be in my Stephen King previews. So, thank you guys for watching. I'm Z3KO Trinity. Skaduskis.